Hey y'all, it's Precious, aka the Worthy Empress and the owner of I'm Worthy. Come join the Worthy Palace so we can embark on this journey of healing our mental states together. In today's video, you guys are actually going to see me holding myself accountable since I made it my goal from this year and for the rest of my life, basically being healthier. So I'm going to be engaging and attending events that basically focus on healthier diet, healthier living, as well as trying new exercising techniques. So if you guys have any further recommendations or just new recipes, ooh, I will definitely accept and like that. So please comment. So the nutritional event I attended was catered by Boarhead. They gave us cookies, chips. Look how big the sandwich is compared to my head. I got a turkey sandwich this time. They gave us water. I don't care. No one said my dad used to kill Deer Park, so it's still good to me. I'm not really the biggest fan of horseradish condiments, but that paired with the mayonnaise with Boarhead sandwiches are fire.
In the area, different gyms help them provide nutrition counseling to their members. So a little bit of my background. So I had a whole other career before this. I worked in tech. I was in project management, office management. Decided to go back and get my master's in nutrition. So I got back from the University of New England, realized I couldn't do much with it because we have licensing laws in the state. So I was like, okay, I'll go back and get my second bachelor's. Did my internship where we had to do supervised training in medical settings and other settings. So I did that at UNC Medical. I interned with Carolina football for a little bit. And I finished last year, and I opened my business as a dietitian in August of last year. So I've been doing health coaching and kind of been in the space for a long time, but the RD is kind of a new credential for me. So today it's really going to be in the spirit of spring and revitalization. I'm talking about some nutrition basics, and then we're going to kind of put it all together in some easy steps. Welcome, welcome. I think there's lunch in there in the break room, if you would have grabbed some. Yes, I'll be talking about energy balance and some other parts of that are very important. Gut health, which is my specialty. We'll talk a little bit about some of the plant foods that are in season in the spring and early summer, and then the importance of movement, daily movement. And we'll talk a little bit about the amenities that y'all have here. So yeah, let's get started with just like an initial question. I'm going to get y'all the juices flowing here. So who can share like one word that you would use to describe nutrition? It could be like an adjective or whatever, but I kind of want to hear where y'all are coming from. What's that?
Healthy.
Healthy? Okay.
Energy.
Energy. Okay.
Wholesome.
Wholesome. How about a word that you would describe how you feel about nutrition?
Fish.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. Some of the things that I've heard is confusing, frustrating,
Difficult,
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it can be all of those things.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, this is another little interesting pop quiz question is, how old are you when your metabolism slows down?
40s or 22. 40s.
Okay, we're going to get into that in another slide, but I want to hear kind of what y'all's feelings are about it. So different ages, y'all listed like pretty different ages, 20s, 40s, 30s. So I think the answer will surprise you. And you were here last time, so.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything.
This comes up a lot, which is why I like to bring it up.
You're going to be surprised.
So let's dig into the research initially about just the topic of lifestyle and nutrition. Here's a couple like facts, some interesting things to know, things you probably already know.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope you can read that. I didn't realize y'all would be so far away. But you'll get a copy of the slideshow. So
okay.
So talking about different aspects of our health. Some of the major contributing factors to developing things like chronic disease, like diabetes, prediabetes, high cholesterol, even certain types of cancers, has to do with different lifestyle habits, right? So a high level of what we call visceral fat, and visceral fat is body fat that actually exists up and within our organs, so in our midsection. High levels of that have actually been linked to some of these major chronic diseases. And so these are things that we want to be mindful of going forward. And this is going to lead into, what I share later here in the presentation. And how that visceral fat can accumulate typically is overconsumption of calories and actually alcohol use. And so another interesting thing to note, and this goes back to my initial question, our metabolism does not actually begin to slow down until age 60, which is shocking, I know. And there's some really great research to support this. Now, that does not negate how hormonal changes can make us feel. We go through changes throughout different periods of our life. And normal part of life, this happens for men and for women. And what we're finding is it's not the metabolism that changes, but it's the way that we physically and sometimes mentally feel as a result of these changes that actually impact our daily habits. And so, these things take time, and different changes, small changes over time can lead to results that either we want or maybe we don't want. And so as we begin to feel differently, whether we've gone through different phases of life hormonally or different phases of life with just life happening, we begin to feel differently, we behave differently, we eat differently, we sleep differently, and it might not always be a positive change. And so that accumulation of changes in our habits over time can actually result in some of the weight gain that we experience and the other things that happen as a result of that. So, yeah.
I have a question though, because yes, very much so in my 20s, if I decided to lose 10 pounds, I would just change my eating habits for 2 weeks and it would go away. I changed my eating habits for 2 weeks now, and it just laughs at me and says I'm going nowhere.
Yeah,
and how is that not metabolism if I eat exactly what I ate then? Like I'm just like, okay, I'm just doing this.
That's fair. But we have to look at past just the food, right? And the foods that we're eating. What are the other things that we're doing in our life? What's our stress level like? What's our sleep like? How much are we moving? Are we tied to the desk? Which inevitably that can happen.
Yeah.
And so that's where we start to make changes based on how our lifestyle has changed as well. So all of those things can, and I'm not negating that.
So if I went to the club as well, then I'd probably be okay.
What's that?
If I went dancing at the club, I'd probably be okay.
I mean, hey,
it's movement. It's movement.
It all adds up. It really does. And that means small changes too. So when you're beginning, and we're going to get into this, when you're beginning to make changes, it's very unfair to expect big change, results in yourself within a week. Because these things happened over time. And so knowing that small changes consistently over time actually do yield big results. So it can happen in the reverse too. So, yeah. All right. A couple of other things. So very interesting information about muscle mass. In 2023, so a very recent study showed that low muscle mass, or having very little muscle mass, has been linked to negative health outcomes. And that's a very general statement, right? But this can affect everything from, our metabolism to our mobility as we age, our ability to get around. It also affects things like our bone density, because if we're continuing to build our muscle and use our muscle, it's also putting positive stress on our bones, and that's what helps us build strong bones. So things that we can do to kind of aid in maintaining and building our muscle mass are a balanced diet and regular physical activity in a way that fits your life. And it can be more difficult to put on muscle as we age, but it's not important, it's not impossible. It just takes a little bit more strategizing and help. And sometimes outsourcing that or doing a little bit of digging on a good workout routine for yourself is really all it takes to oversimplify it, I guess. But here's just a couple of high-level things that we're going to tie in to the rest of this presentation. So let's start with revitalizing our eating habits. So let's talk about energy balance. We've heard this a lot. We go to the doctor, they're like, move more, eat less. And then they kind of most of them kind of leave it at that. And part of that's true, but it's not entirely true, right? The food that we eat provides calories, but it also provides more than just that. And that's what we're about to get into. So when we think of food or drink, we think, okay, calories. What are calories? Calories are, it's essentially just an energy, a unit of energy, right? So as our body breaks down food or drink, if it contains calories, we're going to utilize that energy or we're going to store it. And that is essentially what calories are. So what the doctors are referring to, and what maybe other dietitians would be referring to, is an energy balance. If you consume more calories than you utilize, or you burn, it will result in weight gain. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes someone needs to gain weight. Or, if you want to build muscle, sometimes you have to eat a little more calories than you need right away. Mm-hmm. And then, if you're maintaining weight, if you're wanting to kind of maintain where you are, you eat about as many calories as you need. And that can take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what that looks like, right? We go based on equations. They're not perfect. You are all unique. Your bodies are all unique. And so it can take some time to kind of figure out what your needs are. And then, conversely, if you're eating less calories than you need, of course, weight loss will happen. Now, weight loss is general. What are we losing? Are we losing body fat? Are we losing bone density? Are we losing muscle mass? If you're in a too much of a deficit, like very low, you're likely going to be losing a lot of your muscle mass before anything else, and that's not what we want. So we'll get into that. So that's the overview of calories. But so what's next? What else do we get from the food and drink? Most of the food and drink that we eat. Nutrients. So these are being discussed a lot more in the mainstream. Macros are probably something you've heard of. Counting your macros, if it fits in your macros, yada yada. But what are macros? So macros are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. They are different types of they're like the umbrella nutrients of the foods that we eat. And many foods contain pretty much all of it, just in various quantities. And then we have micronutrients. So those are going to be our vitamins and minerals, which are packed in most of the foods that we eat. Some foods have less. We're going to talk about that. So this is really the foundation of nutrition, if you really think about it. Just in strip all the confusing things away that you see online. We're provided with nutrients and calories. And having a balance of those is what's really important. So let's kind of dig into that a little bit. I tried my best to create a visual because this is a very it can be a little complicated. But how do we strategize our food choices to help keep us in that balance? The appropriate amount of calories for whatever it is that you're wanting to do, gain, lose, maintain, and then also have enough nutrients to support our body. Nutrients do a lot for us. Protein helps us with healing and our tissue. We are made of proteins. Carbs provide us energy, and dietary fats provide us energy, but also help us create things like hormones and digest things. And then our vitamins and minerals help support all the biochemistry going on in our body, every minute of the day. We need these vitamins and minerals. And so it's important for us when we're eating to kind of make sure that foods that encompass both of these things are the central part of our diet.
Not a question. Well, it's a question, but not regards to this.
Yeah.
Are you utilizing that small table?
No.
May I please place my camera on it? I'm sorry. Look, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't want to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
So I can just sign off if you do that. Well, I don't know, but I just think it's here we go. Oh, okay. You got it? Okay. Yeah, I've been working out. Breaking it out into two separate things because this is kind of what we know in the mainstream. We've got whole foods, natural foods, and then we've got ultra-processed foods. There are foods that exist in between. Okay, so I want to make that clear. But foods that are whole foods, minimally processed, have many of these nutrients intact. And what you'll find, and I really want to put this in a slideshow, is if you put a bowl of let's say sliced apples, and you measure it and whatever, do the thing, see how many calories are in it, versus a bowl of chips, the amount of volume and food that you can get for less calories in apples is astounding compared to a bowl full of chips. And here's the difference between the two. Chips are highly processed. They are stripped of many nutrients, including fiber. So when you eat them, you're not going to feel very full. So what's going to happen? You're going to eat more, and you're going to be eating more calories. So in that small serving that you're getting, you're probably getting double the calories you would in something like apples. and it's very, very easy to overeat. So why is that? Whole foods come with micronutrients and things like fiber and protein. And they are a full package that help with our satiety and hunger hormones. You are going to feel more satiated and more full and satisfied when the sort of foundation of your diet is with whole foods. Whereas ultra-processed foods, which I'm not saying they're bad to eat, they're delicious. They're built to be delicious and enjoyable. But it's when those become the foundation of our diet that it can become problematic. Because they are so devoid of certain nutrients, so this is what the X's mean. The nutrients are down here, it's very low. The calories are way up here, so we're off balance, right? That's our natural responses to food, and we're not going to be feeling full and satiated and nourished. So that's the main difference between foods like that, to put it really simply. This is the problem. I like to get up and move around. You're right, So in the same vein as what we were just discussing, carbohydrates get a really bad reputation. And I can understand why, but carbohydrates are very important. And they essentially provide energy for us. But carbohydrates that are lower in fiber, so things like chips, cookies, cakes, all carbohydrate sources, but stripped of nutrients like fiber, are very quickly digested, just like I said earlier. So what happens is our blood sugar does this number. It's digested very quickly, it's absorbed very quickly, our blood sugar skyrockets, our insulin comes in and is like, oh man, we've got to get this blood sugar lower, so it drops. And then what happens? You have the shakes, you feel hungry, you're like, man, how am I so hungry after eating this bag of chips? It has such and such calories, I should be pretty full. This can result into rebound hunger, which is kind of that sort of overeating thing that can happen with foods like this. So I just want to note that, because as someone who also does sports nutrition, carbs are really important, but they're also important for your brain. You use carbs when you're sitting down doing your work. So I just want to emphasize carbs are very, very important. So how do we help our gut health flourish? I tried my best to use the whole let's plant some good seeds, it's spring, and here's a happy gut, all right? So why does having our gut health flourish matter? I don't know if anyone's heard of the gut microbiome and things like that. It's very, very popular right now, and for good reason. It's a very new area of health and research that deserves attention. And it's because when we're feeding ourselves, we're not just feeding us, we're feeding our gut microbiome as well. And these little guys do a lot for us. So what is the gut microbiome? We have millions, if not billions, of bacteria and other microbes that live in our gut. Primarily our large intestine. And these bacteria can influence our immune system, our metabolism, our ability to absorb nutrients and calories, and they can influence our mood, and then our overall digestion and how we're feeling. And an imbalance of bacteria can lead to some pretty unpleasant symptoms of constipation, diarrhea, can go one way or the other. Things like bloating, and I know y'all are eating, and I'm so sorry, but we're going to talk about that for a second. That could, if you have symptoms like that, it could be an indication there's something kind of going wrong with our gut microbes in the absence of a medical condition. Another really fun fact is that 90% of our serotonin, so our happy hormone, is actually synthesized in our gut by our microbes. So if we don't have enough of the microbes that create serotonin, they might impact our mood. We have a very, very strong connection between our gut and our brain. And it's important to note, too, that our gut microbiome changes every day based on what we eat and what we're exposed to in our stress levels, in our sleep. So you can see it changes, which is a good thing. But generally, we want to kind of keep things as consistent as possible with things that are within our power. So how do we do that? Eat more fiber. And I don't mean just a psyllium husk tablet that your GI physician gives you, or a It can be helpful, don't get me wrong. But how do we eat more fiber? Well, the foods that provide us fiber are plant foods. So that category on the left. And I'm not saying be plants only. High quality protein is equally important. So if eating, animal products is your jam, I'm totally supportive of that. That can be an important part of a healthy diet as well. But plant foods are what contain fiber. So what is that? Nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, vegetables, leafy greens, fruit. Fiber can provide bulk to our stool and keep us regular. We want that to move. Going to the bathroom once every 2 days or once every day, every other day is not normal. We do not want that. Fiber can also naturally lower cholesterol levels, which is interesting because we have a natural sort of cycle in our digestion where our body might reabsorb excess cholesterol that we eat or produce, but fiber can actually circumvent that and help remove it from our body. So that's a helpful fact to know about fiber as well. But it also can promote a healthy gut microbiome because these microbes feed on fiber. That's what they want to eat. That's what keeps them going. It keeps them present in our gut. So regularly eating fiber is super important. A common mistake people make is I'm gonna eat more fiber, like we're gonna do this thing, and they go all in, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. I'm constipated, I'm bloated, it feels terrible, my pants aren't fitting right now. Because it's important to do it slowly. Because we're not only just feeding ourselves, we're feeding our gut microbes. And it's going to cause a little bit of chaos if we introduce a little too much too soon. It's a normal thing. So I have a protocol that I have many of my clients follow to kind of reintroduce slowly, also while listening to their body, and they have found very, very successful. And so also when you're doing that, you want to stay hydrated and we continue moving on the daily. Movement, walking, exercising helps with healthy digestion as well, and it also helps support our gut microbes. So, I'm not a big documentary person, but I'm a huge fan of this one. If you want to learn more about this and dig a little deeper, there are scientists that are absolutely amazing that study this all the time, and they are in this documentary and they talk about it. It's a great documentary. It's on Netflix. They'll explain way more than I can in this 45-minute presentation, but it's fantastic. And they'll talk a lot about the same principles that I'm going to be discussing today. So let's move into some of the in-season plant foods that we can find really fresh right now at the farmer's market or at the grocery store. I kind of broke it up based on vegetables and things, and then there'll be fruit on the other side. And I made this in mind with, this is going to be emailed to you so you can have a nice list. But things like asparagus, spinach, lettuce, arugula, green and leafy green vegetables they're rich in vitamin K, which is helpful for bone health, antioxidants, folate, and fiber. So fun fact about these. And then these more colorful pigmented vegetables like carrots, they have beta carotene, which during our metabolism process is converted to vitamin A. It's a very important nutrient for us. Supports eye health. We all know that about carrots. And then beets are rich in folate, iron, and then they actually support blood pressure because they have something called nitrates in them that help sort of relax our blood vessels and help, because they are more relaxed, helps lower blood pressure and has that relaxing effect. So it's a really kind of natural way to get some nutrients in to support that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on like this powdered super ingredients that you mix with water?
Yes.
Do they do the job what they promise, or like it's like just marketing?
It's so funny. Like I feel like every week I have a theme that a lot of people ask me, and that is the theme for this week. And I think it's so funny that you asked me that. So here's my take on that. I'm a food first approach type person, but supplements can be helpful in certain situations. One thing I would be mindful of in those things is many of those not only have the powdered versions of the fruit and vegetables, but they also have vitamins and minerals added into them. So if you're taking that in addition to a multi, in addition to this other gummy over here, you can easily overconsume certain nutrients. And it's important to consume nutrients strategically because if you were to, there's a lot that have like an inverse relationship. So for instance, if you were to, let me think of an example, could take a zinc supplement, like a high dose zinc supplement, but not also supplement copper, having too much zinc can lower your copper levels. There's a lot of those things. So it's important to kind of talk about it with your doctor, but like in light of the supplement that you just asked me about, many of those have nutrients added in, so you just don't want to sort of compound the number of supplements you're taking in. It's like one thing to pay attention to as well. But like if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm not going to be eating like a lot of veggies right now, I'm traveling, sure. But using that as a replacement, I'm more of a food first type person.
Basically, they say like with promise, like you get healthy gaps, you know,
Yes.
like all these like problems will go away with when you are taking this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried it. I'm just kind of like debating like if I want to like continue or
Yeah.
it's like if it's worth it or just because money and
They are very,
so,
that's the other part.
yeah, it's very expensive. Like they want you to subscribe and like
Right.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, they say that because technically these foods through research have been shown to support gut health. So if they pack it up in this refined powder, they can technically say, yeah. And sometimes they put probiotics in it too, or prebiotics. And it can add up really quickly. So it's like it can drain the bank account, but it can also pile on things that maybe you just don't need. Especially if your diet is rich in many of these things that we're talking about. So I think once in a while, like I get it, but yeah.
Something with Activia.
Activia. Oh, the yogurt?
That's probiotics, which is good for your gut health. And there's, like you just mentioned, there's things that market to that.
Yes. And that's the thing about probiotics too. Not all of them are created equally. Some of them won't even survive your stomach acid, right? And so, and it's sometimes probiotics aren't right for certain people. You know, we're still learning about that, but an example, I had a patient who had SIBO and could not take antibiotics because they had a poor reaction to the antibiotic. And they're like, I don't know what to do. They were taking a probiotic every day and having horrible symptoms. I said, let's taper off that because we're essentially sort of putting gasoline on the fire. You know, we're adding more gut bacteria to already an infested kind of situation. We removed the probiotic and symptoms almost completely subsided. And so there are situations where that can be not right for someone, you know. It's not a perfect science, you know. They're still doing a lot of research on the gut microbiome, but it can be helpful in certain settings. I mean, they use it in the hospital, probiotics sometimes in the hospital. There are more natural ways to get probiotics through fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, tempeh. Kombuchas are not great for that just because they're canned, they sit, they might not be stored properly, they're made in a lab. So the more natural, the better. Yeah. Any other questions about that topic? It's a good question. All right, so then fruits. Okay. Okay. This is just the same thing, but in a different slide. Okay. Strawberries, apricots, pineapple in some areas. And we got some mint, basil, chives, so some herbs. These are all going to be in the season as well.
Okay, pineapple in some
Some
areas,
regions, yeah.
such as
Probably areas like in the Caribbean or yeah. All right. Now, as a dietitian, I talk about nutritional health. There's other things we talk about, and activity, physical activity is one of them. So, one fun fact that I always like to share is that taking a walk after a meal, there are some cultures that are like, dude, this is like a part of like their lifestyle, right? And really, there's some science behind it. When you walk after a meal, your body actually metabolizes what you're eating a lot more efficiently. It's very sciencey, but let's just say this. It actually helps control blood glucose better because you have less of a need for insulin because you're moving your muscles and your muscles decide to use that blood glucose. So you don't have to use your insulin. In a nutshell, that's pretty much what happens. So It can also help with the digestion and all of that, and help you feel less full after you eat. But they've done various studies on this, and they found that specifically individuals with like type 2 diabetes have better glucose management when they walk after meals or snacks. It's not always possible, but if you can do it, like that evening, like after dinner walk, can be really helpful. So let's talk about the benefits of movement. Physical activity has a tremendous impact on your brain health. It's been shown to reduce anxiety and depression. It improves your sleep quality. And like we talked about before, it reduces risk for metabolic diseases like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. It improves your digestion. It has actually been shown to reduce the risk of certain types of cancers. And then both strength training and cardio are good for two different reasons, really. But they can lower the risk for heart disease, doing both of them and together, and not just individually. All right, so the general recommendation is about 150 minutes per week of moderate intense activity. But looking at like survey data based on what people are actually doing, only 46.9% of adults 18 or older actually meet those guidelines, which is low. I mean, it's considerably low. And it can happen, for a variety of factors. And only in terms of aerobic and muscle strength specifically, that type of exercise, only 24.2% of people are doing. So looking at those figures, I mean, it's no wonder, it's part of the reason why the health of the general population, we're moving less, which movement is just as important. Our bodies are meant to move. So getting into resistance training, obviously it's probably very clear right now, it's my absolute favorite thing, but it has a lot of great benefits. As we challenge our bodies are forced to adapt, and that's a good thing. It's healthy stress, because that means that we get stronger, we have better bone density, and we move better. So it can help prevent that muscle mass loss as we age. So that, coupled with proper nutrition, can really help preserve our muscle. It helps with bone mineral density, it keeps our joints strong. Muscle actually has an anti-inflammatory effect. The muscle tissue secretes these molecules that help support our immune system and help us manage inflammation better. And it also improves our blood circulation as well. So, similar to the metabolism piece, we begin to lose muscle mass at around age 60. And then, like we talked about before, metabolism slows down around age 60. And every year after that, it goes down by like 0.8%. So it's not like a lot, but like time goes by really quickly. And before we know it, these changes happen. And most importantly, resistance training helps reduce fragility as we age, or frailty as we age.
What's resistance training mean? What's an example?
Great question. I mean, body weight exercise is a great start, especially if you're just getting started. Then progressing to banded weight, resistance. Whatever you have access to, really. I mean, and then you can do just dumbbells, kettlebells. It doesn't have to be like, CrossFit or something like that. That is like the extreme. But anything that challenges your muscles, challenges in the area, different gyms, help them provide nutrition counseling. Your muscles will create growth, and it'll also create strong bones.
Important for overall, every muscle challenged or specific muscles challenged?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, having a consistent routine is probably the most important. So if you're doing full body stuff, absolutely. Like any movement, I think, especially movement that you enjoy. Pilates is resistance training. And it's also like a little bit less impact, which can be good for a certain individual who want less doing that. So that can be a really great. Even yoga, I mean, to a degree. You might start like adapting to yoga, and you might need to start adding more weight or doing something, in addition. But any movement that you enjoy, I would be supportive of. That was a good question. So I want to showcase the amenities that we have here. We all have access to my knowledge, to all of these different amenities. Walking trails, now that the weather is getting nice, you can take a walk after, lunch. And then you've got a bunch of this really great equipment, which is really cool. So I don't know much more than this, but I wanted to showcase it because it's nice. It's pretty cool to have at your office park. So, and you'll have this to keep, so I'll make this email to you. So let's take everything that we just talked about, which was a lot, and kind of make it easy steps. Now, everybody that I see as a client, we're not going to just be like, hey, let's do a total overhaul. What we do is we really dig into each individual and see where do you want to be? What does your day-to-day look like? Are you just super busy with your career? Do you have kids you're taking this, that, and the other place? Like, that stuff matters. Because if we're going to implement new changes, we need to be able to work with the schedule that we've got. So take this as like where can I start, right? So general recommendations. Aim for around 20 grams of protein at each meal or snack. You want to make sure we're getting enough protein for satiety, for muscle health, all the things. Stay hydrated, especially now that it's getting warmer. Around 80 ounces of water minimum per day. Needs might vary based on the individual. Yes.
Yes. So is it true when they say based on what your body weight is, divided by 2, and that's how many ounces?
Yeah, there's a couple different. But again, like if you're like working outside, or if you're an athlete, or you're in a hot environment, you might have more needs.
Okay.
So that's like a good baseline.
Okay.
But I usually say around like 80 ounces. So it's like 2 of these.
Okay.
Is it true that even more protein requires you to drink more water for your body to process?
Probably not any different than anything else. Digestion definitely utilizes, and metabolism utilizes water, so it's important to have. I just say stay hydrated.
Okay.
Stay hydrated, yeah, in general.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, with the plant foods and the diversity of protein sources, 30 plants per week. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. Because think about all the herbs you put on your food. Yeah. Italian seasoning, has like 5 different things? Garlic, onion.
They have to be different, right?
Well, think about like the happy meal, right? You get these rainbows that you put all these toppings on. You probably get like 7 in one bowl. So if you do that multiple times a week, something like that, you're gonna hit that. And it doesn't have to be a lot either. It's like small quantities. It's about diversity.
And serving sizes.
Yeah, and if it's a new food for you, a new plant food, let's start small on the serving size, right? Definitely start small. Get moving. So doing resistance training, you can do it as little as 3 times per week for 30 minutes. Like it doesn't have to be like this 2-hour, venture per session. And then another thing I like to mention too is find a community to keep you accountable, to make it fun. Like it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be enjoying what you're doing, right? Not that it's like punishment. It's never meant to be punishment. And so I have a slow sign, like make one change, see how it goes. When you're comfortable, make another, and stick kind of on that pace, because it can be overwhelming to make multiple changes. And I'm gonna move past this and go to this one because for the sake of time. Friendly reminders, just stay consistent. Whatever small change you're making, just stay consistent. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You're gonna have an off day, and that's okay. Life happens. You're a human being after all. And then knowledge is power. So having these things to help guide your decisions that's what my job is as a dietitian, to empower the community and my clients to understand these things so that when they're making decisions on the day-to-day, they're more informed. That's cool. And perfection does not exist. Do we have questions? All right, while y'all are thinking, I have cards, I take insurance, and I do cash pay. So if y'all are interested in support, I'd be happy to work with you and do more personalized recommendations.
Since you have my insurance listed, I'm gonna take that as my time to go. And I have your information.
Yeah, you have my pencil?
Yes. First time working out at AKT. Oh, this is nice. The instructor immediately told us we're going to utilize the bands first, which I was excited about because y'all know I love me a full body workout. But she kept quickly changing up each movement that we had to do. And y'all know I lost my rhythm. I'm trying to regain it back. But your girl looked worse than a deer in freaking headlights because I didn't know what the hell was going on. So right here, she has us stepping on and off the podium fast, quick pace. Y'all, I was like one out of like 3 or 4 women in a full class that did not know the routine, that was just trying it out. Everyone else knew it, and I accidentally signed up for an intermediate class. So everyone else is flying through it, but like us 3 or 4. Y'all already know I'll try something at least once, but I think I'm gonna do an intro class again before I do something like this. So right here, you can see my face saying, F this, let's go hydrate, girl. I immediately jumped straight back into it. So she was encouraging me to keep going with utilizing the podium for my push-ups, but I started feeling strain in my back and my arms were on fire for utilizing those cores in a routine. I said, baby girl, I'm about to use this beam to get the job done. first time in years I was able to solely celebrate my beautiful cousin's birthday. Just for more context, this was the first year I was able to celebrate her life and her life only without thinking of my father.
Come in. Fuck getting a name on it. Can I get my face on it? Yeah.
I don't know why the video is showing blurry, but here's the tattoo. Luckily, I'm only a short time away from home, so I'm gonna take the win for what it is. And yeah, I had a good time seeing my cousin and just vibing with the people she invited to celebrate her. I don't think I'm making it in the house. In all honesty, I don't think I'm gonna make it. But at least I'm gonna make it into the yard, so I'm gonna take the win for what it is. My headphones died. High school, I used to do a mile in 11 minutes, but we're gonna do a half a mile in 10 call today. This is before we start lifting. We done. Question, when you guys are using weights / working on abs, do you breathe in while your muscles are contracting, or do you breathe out? I need to know to ensure I get the best results. So put your girl on with the best techniques and methods. 10s for her across the board. Shout out to me for taking my medication and going to the gym. Kind of overdoing a little bit too much. A little bit too much. My arms and legs feel like noodles. Because your girl was going through and I went crazy. A little too much. Cute. Anyways, I'm about to shower, y'all. Y'all, I'm in pain. I obviously bit off more than I can chew. Looking up a lot of strawberries, and I like mine in at least 4 slices, unless they're really, really thick. But now I'm kind of getting closer to my crunch time. I want to eat some before I go to sleep, and it'll be 8 in like 18 minutes. I just left from the gym with my brother. So, by the way, I have my container that I'm putting the strawberries in to my left, but to my right, I have the bowl that I'm eating tonight. I was gonna stop filling it up a while ago, but some pieces of strawberries that I felt that felt quite mushy, I'm gonna go ahead and eat those tonight because why not? So I'm gonna eat this like this. I don't like real chunky pieces though. See, like this, I don't like it this size. I have a plastic cutting board, but I'm trying to get away from that. I gotta buy me a wooden one. The girl's trying to be healthier, y'all. So far, my acne has been clearing up for the most part. It hasn't been as active, so that's a plus. If I don't finish out this bowl tonight, I'm gonna just eat in the morning. Cause sometimes I'm hungry in the morning, but like if I drink enough water in the morning, my hunger goes away. I'm gonna clean my blueberries and blackberries too. Luckily for me, those don't have to be chopped up, so that's just gonna be a quick, feel me? Um, quick rinse. Well, rinse after soaking them. Girl, you need to go and eat that type of stuff. Definitely on that. And don't come for me. I know I said I like smaller chops, but now I'm bigger. I said I was gonna stop doing stuff, and I literally started back. I was like, oh, let me go ahead and get my stuff prepped for my salad because I'm not gonna want to do it in the morning. I do not know how to cut carrots like I used to. I'm just cutting them as small as I possibly can, like this, and then I'm cutting that in half. Not directly in half, but to basically make this. That's it. Y'all, I just be lying to myself when I be like, I'm gonna go home and sit down. I gotta stretch my back again because I feel my muscles trying to tighten on me. Take my pain medicine. Take some pain medicine. Chop the big ones and like that. Turn it to the side. That would go in the sink, so I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not even gonna mess with that. That one can go because it's gonna be a lot of carrot pieces at this rate. I'm not gonna clean my lettuce. I'm just gonna take it one by one like off the bud or whatever. That's the proper term. And then clean it that way. Because last time I like got all the pieces I wanted off, right, and I cleaned it, and it ended up wilting on me, so it didn't work. Well, these pieces kind of, I'll leave these. I ain't about to cut my finger. Like, if it's super small, I'm not about to cut my finger. I'm not gonna try it. These are cool. Yep. Cucumber. Last thing is to be cleaned. I didn't show y'all me doing a carrot. Clean the bowl and these skink peels. The rest of the peels. And we're good on that. Throw it in. I don't know. I be liking my stuff to look a certain way. Alright, cool. That's cool. And I'm gonna cut my cucumbers the same way, like in fours. I haven't done it in a long time, and it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Same thing. Like literally, like I matched my knife to the pieces on the side. You see how it's cut? So I'm literally gonna cut from skin to skin to make 4 slices, and that's it. So we gonna hurry up and cut these because I already told y'all I need to stretch. My back is still trying to hurt, and I ain't with that. Like, that's the only thing, like, why I be trying to make myself sit down, like, after I do stuff. But it's like, once I start doing things, like, my body's like, girl, go ahead and get it out of the way. Don't try to wait last minute, because what if I wake up in the morning and my back is still sore? I keep dropping stuff. Like, this is too soft. Pieces. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Cool. Done. So, all that is done. Good to go. I'm gonna wash this. Throw these peels away. And the pieces I dropped away. And then we are going to have another clean kitchen, which is what your girl loves. So I keep small bags on my own. So it'll be easier if I do this to clean everything up. I should have went ahead and I already had my small bag when I put up my strawberries, but I just had my mindset, I'm not going to cut up and do nothing else and I'm just doing it. I always kind of lie to myself a little bit, unfortunately. But you guys can see, blueberries and blackberries freshly cleaned. Cucumbers and carrots freshly chopped. Strawberries spilled to the top. Strawberries we may or may not eat tonight, but we'll have leftover tomorrow. Boom. And these are the rest of the tomatoes I have. I chopped these up like in 4s too. Same way I did that. And let me put y'all on this. I hate the what's the name is over it so you can't see. But this is, oh, you guys can still see it. The honey walnut from Panera Bread. Why didn't y'all put me on? Like, I never fully been a cream cheese girly. Let me tell you something. That right there, fire. Okay, show y'all. I got some bananas. And this is my last bagel, so I'm gonna just wait till the morning, eat that with some cream cheese, with my fruit, and be done. Take the knife out so I don't cut my hand. And yep, I'm done. About to clean up and have a clean kitchen. Good night.